So what we are talking is we are talking about DNS. So once we just finished the Active Directory, and we got installed. Once the Active Directory is installed, we could see that these are the new MMCs comes up: Active Directory users and computers, sites and services, and if you look at, you also have DNS got installed by default, ADSC and Trust. Okay, and there's a new thing called Active Directory Administrative Center. So now let's look at the Active Directory users and computers. Okay. So this is the domain what we have created as lab.com. You can see. Okay. Inside this, you have the default structure like this: users. Okay, and this is the one which we have created as India. Okay, last time. This is a OU which I can delete it and I can recreate it. How to create? So I have a function looks like. Okay, so new, I can create new. So example, I can say Asia, and then or APAC I can say. Under APAC I may have another OU called India. For example, in India I can have okay, that's also OU symbol. So this can be again sites, local sites. For example, I have Hyderabad example. Similarly, I may have another site called VLR. Okay. So, for example, if we take it Hyderabad, in Hyderabad we may have like for desktops. Also, I may have laptops as a separate. Okay. Also have servers. Okay. And also the server should be on top. So I'll just move it here. Who's the user? This is without my permission. Okay, I'll just rename this to maybe kiosk. Okay, under Hyderabad. Users. There could be some kind of icons called groups also. Access looks like. Okay, so this is for the users. Okay, if I want to view advanced features, I can choose as advanced, then it will show you the machines. Okay, I mean this is a new kind of view, just the view changed. And if you look at the default computers, so say example, this is a computer we just added from this PC, right? So this is a PC, a client PC which was added, right, to this domain. Alright, so you could see that it's added to the lab.com, right? Lab.com. So if you want to see what is the domain name, it has logged in. You can type cmd set help, so that it will show you what is the domain controller, it has logged in. So this is into the in general Active Directory users and computers. If you want to know operations masters, you can go here, check all these things. Okay, so this is what we have talked about: RAD and PDC emulator as well as the infrastructure master, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next is sorry, next one will be the so if you look at actual Active Directory inside, how it would be in this way: ADSI edit. So if you open and see the schema related information or the structure, these are the default things. As you double click, it will automatically add. So for example, we just created something called OU called India earlier, or we created something called OU Asia, India, and that you had Hyderabad. So see, if you look at Hyderabad is OU, right? So if I have a computer here, for example, under this kiosk laptop I have, okay. So if I want to write what that value, how I will write is, I'll go to the properties, and here I can filter that the values only writable or readable, some values at least, okay, that has a values. In that case, here the distinction name will be there. So this is what the actually, let me copy and show you. So kiosk, and then laptop, then Hyderabad, then India, then Asia, then lab.com. So always it would be left to right, okay. Don't think that it is from right to left, okay. Say example, in your case, if you look at in the normal view, you'll easily understand. So we go always left to right. So in this case, in the console, it would be top to bottom, right? Got it up? Hyderabad and then laptops. So if you want to write, what you have to write is OU equivalent kiosk, OU comma OU equivalent laptops, OU equivalent Hyderabad, comma OU equivalent India, then Asia. And then that is the Asia is a domain actually. Okay, so it should be DC. Okay, and then dc.com. Okay, now. So this is how it would be written inside the schema. The values, okay. And next thing is trust. So if you have multiple domains, you can add the trust from the manage. So in the top and bottom you will have the trust buttons, okay, where you will be doing the trusted information can be done, okay. So this is, anyway we have a single domain, and Microsoft recommends always go for a single domain, single forest method. Okay. And next one is the DNS. So for the DNS, simple. So you will have everything as the domain. When you are creating domain controller, it has created automatically lab.com and also created all these 4 things. These are called SRV records. If you look at also, you will be getting as the SRV only names, okay. though, which is service location records. Okay, uh, and coming to the in DNS, you have two. I mean, DNS is like a kind of database where you have forward lookup and reverse lookup zones. So there is a zone. This is the forward lookup. If you go to the DNS, you have forward lookup and reverse lookup. So forward lookup has the host name to IP address. For example, in this case, computer name was created and it also have the IP address. Whereas a reverse lookup zone, you have to create your reverse lookup zone information. By default, it doesn't create. So let's see whether we have it or not first. So we have created last class.
Today we created in the last class.
Yeah, so it has this values automatically. Okay, what next? So these are the zones. Okay, uh, that's it. Zone. If you want to create a record manually, you have to right click, host new control. Otherwise, it would be automatically created. For example, if you look at the computer name called all queues, we have not created. It has created automatically. Okay, so this has created automatically, and even here also it gets created automatically. Okay, so excuse me, so this one called a record. Okay, whatever the records you're creating, okay, in the forward lookup, this is called a record. So a record is always points to the computer name to or the host name to IP address, I would say. So right term would be host name to IP address. So, and this is the FQDN. So people normally say that what is FQDN? FQDN means fully qualified domain name, which is computer name dot domain name .com, right? Okay, here the PTR would be there. So you can create approximately, if I'm correct, more than 20 kind of records you can create here. If you click on other new records, you get lot of other records. So I did even blog posted on that in one of the okay, or one of the link I did post it. Okay, so here somewhere, okay, DNS related, how many records were there. That's okay. So that's into the DNS side. Okay, for Exchange server they create MX record. If you just go here, mail exchange record, that's called Exchange server record. And coming to host record, this is the one. So to host address records like domain name to 32-bit of IP address. Okay, this is clear. And next part would be so what we have left over is in this sites and services. Okay, so let's go to the Active Directory sites and services. Say you have a sites and services means as we discussed in the past sessions, like okay. Say when you created Active Directory, we did taken a screenshot or the text we have captured, right, and we stored here. Before clicking finish for the final reboot, there it was mentioned that Active Directory domain services is now installed on this computer for the domain controller called lab.com, and the Active Directory domain controller is assigned to the site. This is called default first site name. You can manage sites and services from the console, right? This is what we got it. That means when you created a domain controller, automatically this one gets created. Okay, and here the machine is the domain control has been added. Okay, now in reality how it would be. So in real world, you may have a office in Hyderabad example, okay, and you may have office in different locations like this. So every location may have, like, if you have your domain controller, you may also have additional domain controller. In the event of you are restarting this will be up state, right? So you will have ADC. Similarly, you will have ADC, you will have ADC. So in short, I'm just writing as A. So you have everywhere, ADC example, or maybe one or two ADCs are there example. And what happens is, if we call it as this is site A example, this is site B, and C, and D, and E, and F example, or you can take it as A as Hyderabad, B as Bangalore, C as California, D as Denmark, E as England, F as France site example. So in that case, uh, uh, the machines count of this site A is represented always. I mean, the devices will be there definitely in this site, right? Every machine will have a IP address, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the IP address is assigned already. So this means if you want to identify the number of machines, you can easily calculate based on the subnet, right? So now what we'll do is, based on the subnet information, we can assign this subnet to a site in the Active Directory. Say example, I will create now a site called example Hyderabad, and I'll simply assign. Okay, similarly this one also I'll create another site with a different subnet. For example, here the subnet ID would be, for example, in this case 192.168 or 0.1 by by 3 by by 24 example. That means 255, sorry, 3 255. Similarly here it may be a class A, this can be class B, class C, something like that. Okay, so let me go back here and create a site for you. So the first site I'm just renaming, okay, to Hyderabad. So Hyderabad, I got it. Now the subnet, so what was the subnet for you? Have 192.168.
192.1.200.
The subnet ID, I told you know how to look at the subnet IDs.
Oh, subnet ID 3255.
So 192.168
3
or 1 dot, right, series 1.0 by
1.24.
so 8 3s are 24, right? So we have to give 24 because 3 255. Okay,
255.
so now this has been a site created. Similarly, you will create another site if you have as you told, if you have a B site in maybe Bangalore location, you will create another subnet. So in now what we have done is, if you go properties of this site Hyderabad, when I say Hyderabad, in Hyderabad all these machines are there. Whatever the machines are there, they will have this subnet. If this subnet is not there, they cannot authenticate to the domain controller, or it may cause different issues. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you want to see the real world, the Active Directory sites, in example, just showing you some examples of in the real world how it looks like. These are all the sites and services. In this case, Chicago, London, New York. Okay, all these locations has different servers. Okay, so every server again will have a different subnets. For example, in this case, Chicago, these are the servers. It has just created in this way, but Similarly, there is something called subnets. If you look at here in this screenshot, there are a number of subnets. Each subnet will be assigned to different sites. Okay. Okay. Now, if you look at this screenshot, uh, the screenshot clearly shows you for the replication. Say example, when you created a site 1, site 2, example. So now it will it has to be, for example, DC1 has to be replicated automatically to another site, child DC example, or DC2, TRDC1. So here if you look at TRDC1 as well as DC2, here if you created a different say example, you created a user account, okay, here, okay, example. So it has to be replicated to all these domain controllers. For example, this can be Chicago, different site, or maybe in a different location. It should be replicated, right? If a user has to be logged in any of these locations, the
Yes.
object should be available, right? So
Yes.
how it is possible? Because when you create a sites and services, as I told you, every 15 minutes it will
It was
replicate.
done at some.
Yeah, it will automatically replicate, right? So it can be done that way. Okay. Yeah.